Hey, my name's Jess and this is Knitting on Sweater Avenue. This is a knitting podcast where I normally talk about things that I'm working on, things I've finished, any new cast-ons as well as new acquisitions. But that's not the plan for today. Today the plan is to talk about everything that I'm taking on my trip to Europe. I am flying to Europe this evening. We leave in approximately 6 hours and exactly 6 hours, oh my goodness. And I just wanted to show you what I'm going to take with me to work on because I thought it kind of might be interesting. For reference, we are going for a month. We are spending just over a week in Ireland, just over a week in Scotland, and then a week and a half or a bit more in the south of France in a town near Nice. And I'm really excited. I definitely am going to do some yarn shopping while I'm there. So if you have any suggestions of places you think I should go, the main big cities we're going to in Scotland and Ireland, so Dublin and Galway, Edinburgh. I don't know if Inverness counts as a big city, but we're going there. And then we're doing sort of road trips around both of those locations. Oh, the Isle of Skye. And then yeah, we're going to be near Nice. So if you have any yarn shop suggestions or destination suggestions, we're all ears. I'm going to try and post this before my flight so that ideally something might come through. So yeah, before I get started, this is my Kai sweater by Second Knit. It is a bit of a spoiler because actually I finished it approximately 20 minutes ago to the point of it's not blocked or anything. And the podcast, I filmed a podcast earlier this week that will come out after this one and I haven't finished this, so just as a heads up. But yes, I'm gonna get started on what I'm taking. I did already try and film this and then I watched it back and I was like, wow, I just completely lost track of what I was saying. But to start with, I'm taking one project that is already a whip, and that is my mixed rib cami by Florence Miller. So these are the colors I'm using. Try and get them in a good lighting. Oh, by the way, I'm in my spare room, partly because it's a Saturday and my partner's in the other room. And also I wanted to try the lighting. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's not as interesting back there. I kind of like the greenery of the other room, but I do like the light in here. So this is how it's going so far. I have done the back panel and I am working on the front panel. I'm doing a hacked version where rather than it's meant to have, what's the word? It's meant to have twisted, sort of twisted ribbing, and instead I'm doing a 2x1 ribbing to replace just that, and then there's the thicker ribbing I've left. I think it looks super cool. I love these colors. Some of them are not that high contrast, these two are relatively similar. I might even try, I worked out that I can do black and white, so this is my whole palette, and then I'm going to turn it to black and white so you can see the contrast. Obviously this one has a lot of contrast, and then this also goes here. But I'm kind of okay with that. And then, so yeah, I'm going to take this because ideally I could smash it out, get some real progress on. But for this, in addition, I also need to take, I guess one of the things I've done is I've thought about all of the different needles and stuff that I'm going to need. So on the plane to take with me for this, so I'm taking this on the plane with me. It's just like a tiny little pouch with a few little bits in it. Some of the bits are for different things. So I am actually taking nail clippers. These are my actual nail clippers. I also use them to cut nails. Maybe that's gross, maybe it's not, but it's a really good option for taking to the airport because at least as far as I have experienced, they're happy for you to take nail clippers onto the plane, and nail clips are really good for cutting your yarn. So I'll take that, and I still have to decide if I'm going to try and take a tapestry needle. I just don't know if I would even weave in any of my ends, because that's the other thing. I've been cutting my ends, but they're all woven in so far. Very proud of myself for that. So I probably won't bring the tapestry needle, but it'll be good to just not have all of my yarns attached at once. So that's what I'm bringing for that project. And then in my checked luggage, I have a redesigned project bag, redesigned project, and this is a needle thing. And for this project, the other thing that I am taking is I have a pair of 2.5mm, or I have some 2.5mm interchangeable Chalgu needles, which I can use for all of the edgings. That, I think 2.5mm is the right size for this. So yeah, that's that. So that's everything I need for that project. So that's sorted. I'm just going to put it all back in its little bag. I also am almost exclusively taking project bags that I made, which I think is pretty cute. So this one, I'm pretty sure I designed this one myself, and it's just like a little, so it's like a little bucket bag. It has a drawstring, and I have a smaller one of these that I use for taking my socks to work. This is this one, and then it has a little yellow "Made with Love." Can you see that? Wait, hold still. "Made with Love" tag. So that's really handy, makes it very portable, and also there's some pockets on the inside so that I can carry a bit more. So that's that project. The other project that I'm bringing, that I think I'm going to cast on before I go, but I've had a bit of up and down with, is using these yarns. Now I have some better pictures, but I will show you this and I'll also pop up some pictures. So this, I don't know the best way to describe this. So I'm going to take the yarn to knit a fingering weight sweater, because I thought that was a good option, like going for a month. If I took a DK weight sweater, I think I might finish it. And also it requires a lot of yarn, whereas fingering weight requires less yarn. So the first swatch I did was with these 3 colours. And I don't know if you can see, but you can't really tell between them. So the 3 colours are, these are from the Pasley Knits Taylor Swift collection, most recent one, I think. I think there's been more than one. Maybe it was the Eras, I don't know. It was one of the collections. Let me just, got yarn going everywhere. And these are the 3 colours that I initially, well, that I bought to knit this sweater. And although they're gorgeous, I'm going to turn it black and white again. Hopefully I've done that. There's just so little variation between these bottom 2. So I started with that swatch and I sent pictures to my mum and I was like, I love this, but I just don't think it's really working. And then I saw the extra yarn that I was knitting this sweater in, and I was getting pretty close to the end of this sweater, and so I thought I'd have a fair bit left over. And in fact, I did break into this for this jumper, but I weighed it and I still have 53 grams. The sweater, this is only meant to be 50 grams. So I've got, I think I'll have enough to knit this. And that means my new is this combo, which has much more contrast. And I will also put that in black and white so you can see. And if I'm feeling really clever, I'll try and put them next to each other. I make no promises on that front. But that's this, the bottom half of this swatch. Which again, I have a better picture of, because it looks so dark in this light. But it's not quite that dark. Anyway, so that's my second project. I haven't cast that on yet. I've just found my needle, so maybe I did put that in here. I'm just gonna hold. Sorry. Tapestry needle saved. So for that project, I have got one of each of these balls, and then I am also going to have, oh no, so this one is going in my luggage because I have 2, and I definitely only need 1 for the plane. So I've got the 3 colours, and then I will take this in my luggage and I will break into that when I need it. So a bit more information about this pattern. I am going to do a very hacked version of the Aros sweater by Petite Knit, because so this gauge swatch, which as you can see is not blocked, but I'm going to choose to ignore that. I measured my gauge. My gauge is 28 stitches by 36 rows. The gauge of the pattern is 21 stitches by 28 rows. So I have done a series of calculations converting for my size, which is the 3rd size or the small, into my gauge. So rather than, I have in the past just if my gauge was slightly off, I've cast on a different size. But for this, I've just like completely calculated what my new cast on. So if the cast on was 10 stitches, for example, 10 stitches divided by 21 stitches, which is their gauge, multiplied by 28 stitches, which is my gauge, should then mean that my final thing is the same size. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. So I am using 3.25mm needles, which has caused me to be kind of frustrated. The only 3.25mm needles I have are these like rainbow ones from Knit Pro, and they're 10 centimeters. So Knit Pro needles come, if you don't know, come in 13 centimeter lengths, 10 centimeters, and then you can get the shorties, like there's like a few different mini sets which are 5 centimeters. I love the 5 centimeter ones. I do all of my sleeves on 5, like with the little short tips. Lots of people don't like them. I love them. I love them. So that's what I'm going to do with this ones. But this has caused a thing that I'm a bit frustrated about, and this is like relating to an issue that I've had for a while, which is the life cycle of my knitting needles. Is I first bought just like a random set off someone on Facebook Marketplace. It was like $30 Australian. I didn't want to commit to an expensive set until I knew that I liked knitting. Or I think I had knit with straight needles, but I wanted to try circular needles because they were all the rage. I decided they were a hit. So then I got some Knit Pro, like a set of Knit Pros for my birthday. And they are lovely. They're the Knit Pro Gingers. I use them for, do I have some here? Yeah, I do. Whoops. There you go, I'm dropping things. But, sorry. I'm going to come back to this needle case because it is kind of annoying. They're the Knit Pro Gingers. I use them for almost all of my projects. I love them. But one of the things I've noticed is I use the 3.5, 4, 4.5, maybe 5 a fair bit, the 5 less. And I have never used the biggest sizes. So then when I started getting into the world of like smaller size knitting needles, because I knit a fair few socks, I got the Chaogu like mini. They come, you can either buy a pack of the like thin, they're the thin ones, so like 2mm, 2.25, 2.75, 3, 3.25. So they come in a little pack, or you can buy them individually. And I was like, oh, I don't use the sizes from all the sizes from my ginger pack, so I'll buy them individually. So I have bought 2, 2.25 and 2.5. And now for this project, ideally I would have 2.75 and 3.25, which both come in that pack, but I didn't buy that pack. And now it feels silly to buy those sizes individually. But I don't, yeah. So that's my current crisis is the wrong word, but like purchasing thoughts. And I don't know what I'll do, but I think that I should be okay, at least for a fair while, just with the needles that I have. These should, like, the yoke and the body, this is what I'll use. And then it's just like, if I want to do the neck, I'll probably do it on the 2.5mm needles that I have. And then I'll see what I do for the sleeves, because yeah, I'm not really a big fan of magic loop. I can do it, but I just don't like it. So that's that one. And that's my journey in knitting needles. And then other things that I am taking. So in the bag that I'm taking on the plane, I have, so my nail clippers. I have a bag with, not a bag, a little thing with those like gourd stitch markers. I don't think, like, they're so small, so I don't know if they'll like show up. Wait, let me pick a dark colored one. Green. That was even worse. Okay. They look like this. Let me bring it like, they're the stitch marker I use the most. So I have a little pouch of those. Little, what would you call this? Little tin. I have a very cute mushroom tin full of, so I use those ones for like counting rows, and I use these ones for stitch markers in the round. So I have like a little, what would we call that? An umbrella. That's what we call that. And a raindrop. And so I have a bunch of raindrops, some mushrooms, that kind of thing. So I'll need that because hopefully I will cast on this jumper and like need to mark out the increase points. I have some, it's in the Petite Knit packaging, but it's not the Petite Knit one, like barber cord, stitch saver cord, enough to do the 2 sleeves, because I reckon I'll get like, yeah, on a fingering weight sweater. I guess I have an 8-hour flight followed by an 11-hour flight followed by a 4-hour flight, but how much knitting am I actually going to do? Unknown. So I've got that, but yes, maybe I will get to splitting for sleeves, but I doubt it. And then I have my yarn, so let me just put it all back in the bag so that I can show you, because I also made this bag. I made this bag, so yeah, I just putting my needles in there, but I will hopefully have them on the project. Zip this bad boy up, take my swatch with me. This is my little bag. I think it's really cute. I just got the fabric from Spotlight and I made this. I copied the like specs of, I have a bag from Willow Bear Bags, I think. I have one of those like really cute quilted style ones. But yeah, so this is just like based on the shape of that. But the benefit of this slightly softer fabric is that it really takes up much less space. So that's that one ready. And I did add, oh no, I didn't add it on here, but I've just clipped a stitch marker on with all my stitch markers hanging off so that I can have some there. And the other project that I thought I would take, although this is just going to go straight in my luggage to be cast on at the other end if need be, because it's just one single skein, is I have some cashmere yarn that I bought in Canberra at the bus depot markets, which just like wouldn't have been my first choice of where I might buy cashmere yarn, like in terms of where I thought I would find cashmere yarn, but it's this really nice sort of camel-y brown colour. It is from Belissa yarns, I think. I will confirm and put it in the description box, but it's this super fine cashmere. It's really soft, and I thought that this could be a good project. Like, I was going to knit the simple bralette by Naked Knit, and so I did my little swatch on my little 3mm needles. I am holding it double because this is just like, that is so fine. I'm not holding that single. And I thought that this could be good because you like knit little triangles and then knit them together, and I thought they could be quick wins if I needed them, and that this was a good project just as like a small one if I needed something a little bit more portable than either of the other two. And so then with that, and partly with that because that's also a 3mm needle, if they take these needles off me, then at least in my luggage I will have some more 3mm needles. But yes, so last but not least, I have my, oh my gosh, you're falling out. I have a complaint about, but I have a bag from Redesigned Project, and there are many things that are good about this bag, but there are also a fair few things that I think need a bit of work. So all of the gaps are too big. So I have a bunch of needles that I'm bringing with me. I am bringing some spare, I think these must be 3.5s. Yeah, I've rubbed off the marking, but I assume I'm bringing some 3.5s, 4s and 5s. I've got a crochet hook. I have my measuring tape with fits in here. And then it's got this really cute slot for tapestry needles, but they fall out. And also these ones fall out. Okay, now there's, you know when something hurts or like something's going weird and then you have to show it to someone and it doesn't go weird? That's so annoying. Normally these fall out, which is very annoying. So sometimes those fall out. They're not doing a good job of it. This one fell out. I was opening this. And then I've got a bunch of cables on this side, including, so they're my 2.5mm. I've got, what is that? Those are my 3mm, and then just some extra cables. And then in my little zippy pouch, there's like, so it does have a little zippy pouch in the middle. I have got some more stitch saver cord, some more stitch markers, and my little scissors, because I do like having scissors if I can, but I don't want to lose them. Yeah, see, this one's gonna fall out again. I don't know if you saw that, but it fell out. Probably will just put that in here then, so that I don't lose it. So that will go, that will get checked. That'll go in my luggage. And if I pick up any little bits, that can go in here, which is nice. But I do have some space for a bit of extra. I have some space for some yarn in my luggage and some little bits, so keen for that. So yeah, these two are getting, this is getting checked, and the rest of it is coming with me on the plane in my backpack. But yes, thank you for watching. Hopefully maybe you found that useful. I have never had my needles taken off me. I do exclusively use interchangeable needles. I'm sure that helps. and I mostly don't use metal needles, but I have taken metal needles on the plane and had no problems, because I think because the tips are only like this long and they're not very pointy. I think it was those long metal pointy ones that used to be an issue. The only time I've ever had any sort of issue was not even in security, it was on a plane when an air hostess was like, oh, you can't knit. And I was like, given that I've been knitting for like, you know, 3 years and been on multiple planes and you're the first person to tell me this, I just don't think that you're right. But I chose not to have an argument with her. And I was like, I was sitting next to my family, like, no one's gonna, if I accidentally poke them with a knitting needle, they'll be fine. So yeah, sorry, random tangent. But yes, I am gonna post my next podcast, the podcast I filmed next, like probably in a week or two, and then I will film again when I get back. I'll be able to talk more about how this went. I'll be able to block this, which I'm not gonna be able to block it until I get back. It's a whole thing. And then hopefully I will have some project updates to show you. But yeah, I hope you're having a great day. If you have any travels coming up, let me know what you're taking. If you have been working on anything, let me know what you've been working on. If you have any tips for traveling with knitting, I would love to hear them. And yeah, I hope you're having a great day, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.